Good morning, family. It's Friday, December 11th, 2020. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. This is Proverbs chapter 11. A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight is his delight. When pride comes, then comes dishonor, but with the humble is wisdom. The integrity of the upright will guide them, but the crookedness of the treacherous will destroy them. Riches do not profit in the day of wrath, but righteousness delivers from death. The righteousness of the blameless will smooth his way, but the wicked will fall by his own wickedness. The righteousness of the upright will deliver them, but the treacherous will be caught by their own greed. When a wicked man dies, his expectation will perish, and the hope of strong men perishes. The righteous is delivered from trouble, but the wicked takes his place. With his mouth the godless man destroys his neighbor, but through knowledge the righteous will be delivered. When it goes well with the righteous, the city rejoices, and when the wicked perish, there is joyful shouting. By the blessing of the upright, a city is exalted. By the mouth of the wicked, it is torn down. He who despises his neighbor lacks sense, but a man of understanding keeps silent. He who goes about as a talebearer reveals secrets, but he who is trustworthy conceals a matter. Where there is no guidance, the people fall, but in abundance of counselors there is victory. He who is guarantor for a stranger will surely suffer for it, but he who hates being a guarantor is secure. A gracious woman attains honor, and ruthless men attain riches. The merciful man does himself good, but the cruel man does himself harm. The wicked earn deceptive wages, but he who sows righteousness gets a true reward. He who is steadfast in righteousness will attain to life, and he who pursues evil will bring about his own death. The perverse in heart are an abomination to the Lord, but the blameless in their walk are his delight. Assuredly, the evil man will not go unpunished, but the descendants of the righteous will be delivered. As a ring of gold in a swine's snout, so is a beautiful woman who lacks discretion. The desire of the righteous is only good, but the expectation of the wicked is wrath. There is one who scatters, and yet increases all the more. And there is one who withholds what is justly due, and yet it results only in want. The generous man will be prosperous, and he who waters will himself be watered. He who withholds grain, the people will curse him, but blessing will be on the head of him who sells it. He who diligently seeks good seeks favor, but he who seeks evil, evil will come down. He who trusts in his riches will fall, but the righteous will flourish like the green leaf. He who troubles his own house will inherit wind, and the foolish will be servant to the wise-hearted. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and he who is wise wins souls. If the righteous will be rewarded in the earth, how much more the wicked and the sinner? This is the word of the Lord. This morning I just want to focus on 2 or 3 verses here. We're in the holiday Christmas season. It's a season when I can look over here at the Christmas tree, see the gifts starting to accumulate under there, and everyone likes the idea of receiving gifts. Who doesn't like a good gift, right? Our salvation was a gift to us. We didn't do anything to earn it. It was granted to us. God in his grace and mercy saved us. Jesus, while we were still yet sinners, Christ died for us, the Bible tells us. He gave us this special, precious, infinitely wonderful gift of salvation, that we might have peace with God. And so we'd like to receive gifts. But sometimes I wonder, and this is not just us, it's humans in general, human nature. Do we like to actually give gifts? The Bible here tells us, there is one who scatters and yet increases all the more, and there is one who withholds what is justly due, and yet it results only in want. The generous man will be prosperous, and he who waters will himself be watered. He who withholds grain, the people will curse him, but blessing will be on the head of him who sells it. There's a sense in life that, God has blessed us with everything that we have. However little it might be in reality, however little you might perceive it to be, however abundant the blessings and gifts that God has lavished upon us may be, the reality is we're called to share. We're called to be cheerful givers. If you looked over at 2 Corinthians this morning, chapter 9, let's see. Starting with verse 6. Now this I say, he who sows sparingly will also reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will also reap bountifully. Each one must do just as he has purposed in his heart, not grudgingly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that always having all sufficiency in everything, you may have an abundance for every good deed. So what this is saying is that you've been blessed. We're called to sow bountifully. We're called to scatter those seeds of the blessings and gifts God has given us liberally. We're called to be liberal givers. You probably never thought you would hear me say that we're called to be liberal in something, but when it comes to our giving, we're called to be liberal. We're called to share our love with others. We're called to share our gifts with others. We're called to share our material blessings and material wealth with others. Now, this doesn't mean that we, this isn't a call like, some people look at the story of the rich young ruler and they try to make that a prescription for every Christian, right? The rich young ruler came to Jesus and he said, essentially, this is paraphrasing, he said, he's kept all the law. What else must he do? And Jesus says, go and sell all you have and give it to the poor and then come follow me. And then the rich young ruler went away sorrowful, for he had many possessions. So some people will want to take that as a prescription for everyone. That's not necessarily the case. It could be the case that God is calling you to just literally give it up, give all of it up, and go somewhere or do something in which you must give up all your possessions. That could be the case. But in general, the principle is that we're simply called to be cheerful givers. We're called to have an open hand. You've heard me say this before, and I didn't make this up. Somebody else did. But I've heard it said that as Christians, we're to have an open hand. And whatever God places in our hand, we must be willing to share and freely give to others, cheerfully. And I've noticed this year, this Christmas and last Christmas, that the giving of gifts has taken on a new dimension in our home. You children have gotten involved and giving gifts to one another, and you do so with delight. You seem to really enjoy giving a good gift to your sibling. And I've heard you even talking about how, oh, Henry's going to love this, or Sam's going to love this, Maddie's going to love this. And that's encouraging to me, to see that you guys love giving good gifts. Because that's a part of God's image in us, is it not? God is a heavenly Father, and He loves to give His children good gifts. And so part of our nature as Christians, born again in the image of God, we ought to also want to be people who are cheerful givers and give good things to others. And we do that first and foremost because that's what Christ has done for us, right? He's given us a gift, and we ought to emulate that, and that's our pattern, that's our example. Jesus is. But there's also a reality in that, like verse 25 tells us here, the generous man will be prosperous, and he who waters will himself be watered. And so there's a sense that as you're being a cheerful giver, it's not karma, right? We don't believe, well, if you do a good deed, then it's going to come back on you. That's because that's just the universe. We don't believe that, but we do believe that when you're walking in faithful obedience to God, that He blesses you. Being obedient to God it brings blessings upon your life, both in the here and now and in the age to come. And so let's be thankful for what we've been given. Let's be thankful for all the good things we enjoy. And let's be cheerful givers today. Now, today, for you in this house, it might mean simply honoring someone, giving them honor, not withholding that from them. It could be giving them an encouraging word, being polite to your neighbor. It could be giving of your time and your strength and your resources, working hard and doing something physically to help someone. This isn't just a picture of, going to Walmart and picking out a toy for someone and sharing it with them. This is being a living sacrifice, sharing yourself with them. And so I want to encourage you to think of ways today in the home, among your siblings and your mom and dad, and what are some ways that you can be a cheerful giver and share and really love your neighbor as yourself. I can think of one way that your mother, my wife, cheerfully gives to me every day, and I'm probably not as thankful for it as I ought to be, but just the simple act of her taking the time to prepare my lunch and get everything ready for me the next day, that makes my life so much easier. It's so helpful to me, and she gives her time to do that, and she doesn't complain about it or grumble about it. She just does it because she loves me and she loves the Lord, and she wants to honor God. And so that's good. And I'm thankful for that. And we all ought to be like that, just cheerfully giving. But we realize that we don't do that in order to earn something in return, right? We're not doing A and B so that we can earn C, right? That's not how the Christian walk works. We do A and B because God has commanded it. And if you've been born again, you will delight in doing A and B, and knowing that C is coming, the blessing. And we don't do it for the blessing, but it is, in general, an outworking of faithfulness to God. And that's what we see here in this proverb. He who waters himself will be watered. Blessing will be on the head of him who sells it, the grain. He who diligently seeks good seeks favor. Okay? But that's Proverbs 11 this morning. I want you to think about that, and I pray you have a blessed day, and I love you all very much. God bless you. Bye-bye.